Hello, welcome to Know the Faith, Defend the Faith. My name is William Hemsworth. It's great to be with you all today. And I'm pleased to have my guest, Kent Kuholski. He's the founder of Fiat Ministry Network. Kent, how are you doing today?
William, thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And it's my pleasure to have you on. I thank you for all the work you're doing. And
Yeah.
so you're
Well,
doing a lot of good things out there.
I also want to thank you, William, for just being part of the Fiat and Patriarch series on Patreon and doing the Eucharist. That was an amazing series, and just thank you for that time that you've done for us too.
Oh, that was a fun series. And got some good feedback, and I'm glad it helped a couple of people out there. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, thank
But
you.
So what I wanted to do today is maybe to start off with your story. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into
Mhm.
Fiat?
Well, yeah, again, my name is Kent Kuholski, and I've been doing this for about 10 years of ministry work, but I'm a cradle Catholic, got away from the church, and a long story short, there were friends that got me kind of in the sense of back to the church. I kind of call it the Last Supper at Perkins. And so I was going, actually working and doing a couple Wednesday night services with friends that were Protestants, and they were invite me, and they were very, always welcoming, and it was great to have them, and so we did a get together, and later on it was around the college time, and so a lot of times you'll go to eat at midnight to get some,
Right.
and it was just a long table at Perkins, and they were just rattling off verse after verse, and I was blown away by how they just could, know the faith, and was very just. It was just amazing. So I kind of got crept back into my faith through friends that were Protestants, and then I actually through them met someone, and we had a relationship, um, and it just, and she was a Catholic, and out of all the, and so she asked me if I wanted to go back to mass, and I'm like, and that was right around when Saint JP2, back then Pope John Paul II was about, it was at the end of his life, and we. It was, everybody was covering and watching, and she was watching, and uh, bringing up theology of the body and everything
Wow.
that he did. And so it was a very amazing point that getting me back into the church, because as a high school and younger, I didn't want anything to do with my Catholic upbringing. And I'm not blaming my family or my parents. They were great. They would get us to Sunday mass and all that. It was just not up to that par where it is right now for me. And so, I had this relationship, and I came back, and then also I tried on, I met my wife through Catholic match, so I was looking for that. And so after that, a friend of mine that is now a priest in the Erie Diocese. I'm originally from Erie, Pennsylvania, and he kept on encouraging me to go to Tech to encounter Christ. It was a 3-day retreat that kind of gets you through a retreat, 3 days of really getting into yourself, and understanding the faith, and how to, what Jesus went through. It was a, die day, rise day, and then a go day. It was kind of that thing. And so after um, Father Mike Polonek, who asked me to go, and I finally said yes. And by noon, I was like, I'm not interested. Time out. I need to get out of here. And so, but the leader of the retreat said, just hang in there for this day. You'll understand everything after. And it made sense. And this is how Fiat kind of came into play, where I was hearing all these amazing testimonies about people's faith and different backgrounds, different age. It was just a whole bunch of different testimonies, and hearing about your other people's faith journeys and how they got to a point where they are at that point. And so, fast forwarding, I loved tech. I got it at the end. It was an amazing time. And so I'm like, getting into technology and loving what we're doing, William, this way of going from different time zones and, all over the world and being able to connect. I saw a side of technology where back in the day when no one used Zoom, a guy that was more on computers, and he started a online internet network. And I fell in love with it. He was talking tech stuff, so I'm like, cool. But then I also like, man, my faith is like desire to keep going and to share and to talk about the faith. And so I kind of like, okay, I gotta, figure out what to do. And I was doing youth ministry at that time, and a friend of mine that was also doing youth ministry was like, should call something like Fiat, like saying yes. And so Our Lady, ultimate yes. And so that's how Fiat came to play. We started very just audio based. That was the first show. And then we get into all these different technologies. But at that point now, after over 10 years of doing this, I'm loving it. And just meeting you, William. And but yeah, that's kind of the long story short.
All right. Now, back to the Last Supper at Perkins. Were you already leaning towards coming back to Mass? Or were there questions in your mind already, like maybe I should go back before that happened? Or
no, I really didn't want. I mean, I was enjoying, the friendship, and I wasn't, completely ready to go back to Mass. Just people that, the connections of inviting me going back kind of helped me that journey. But I wanted to learn the faith more. And then I was blown away by that, just verse after our Protestant brothers and sisters, how they are just, knowing and like, I mean, you understand more than I.
right.
And so it's just one of those things that I wasn't completely ready to go back to Mass, but I was on the page. I was, I was getting the ball rolling at that point.
And then you were invited back.
Yes. Yes.
So I think that's something that when people hear that, they think it's so simple, but it's so effective.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine who's very active in street evangelization. And he says, a lot of people, you just invite them. And that's most of the time how people come back that are lapsed. So don't forget that power of just that invitation. So I guess that's a great testimony from your part. So Fiat's been around for 10 years, you said, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
What were some of those growing pains like in those early years?
The technology. Try to figure out the technology is always been and will always be a learning curve, and trying to understand what works and what doesn't. We went through Skype and all these different ways and other switching programs and all that. But the evangelization was always there. It just the technology had to pick up. And I was always searching out the best and cost. Like we all understand nowadays, things were so much more back then, and I couldn't physically do it with my my budget. It just wasn't going to happen the way where, now you can just go on to YouTube or Facebook and instantly with your phone and do it. Back then you would have to have a CDN, which is basically a way to transfer the stream to probably a player that would be placed onto your website. So then you're kind of pushing, a stream, hopefully that you have an audience that wants to go to that website, compared to now where you can go to YouTube, which is, the second largest search engine, Facebook, which is a huge social media platform. I mean, the largest. So you have opportunities that you've never had. I mean, this year has just been amazing, especially working with Bill Snyder with Patrick Hart Ministry and all that. But the technology will always advance and get better, but amazing, the pricing is so much. We can do this now, William. Like, you and I can do this and be part of a kind of a small network of evangelization.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Like you said, stuff was so much more back then, and now today there's so much competition. The prices just drop down, and it's good for all of us. So what are some of the shows, then some of the content that you have up on Fiat that you help produce?
I do the Fiat Ministry show. It's kind of testimonies, and also just having people share, and it's one of the shows. We've just started a show, Journeys in Faith with Ann DeSantis. We've been over 22 shows there, 20, and I bring in, sometimes we get permission from some parishes to live stream their masses. So we bring in a stream, simulcast it. Hungry for More with Alan Smith up in Canada. He has a couple books out and on Bishop Sheen. Fulton Sheen, and we also, and this is a very interesting, that has kind of picked up steam. Like, that's one thing, William, like you probably will understand, with your videos, that it might not happen right now, but down the road you might get that comment, or something will take place with a video that you did a couple of years ago. And we Faith Light Family with Missy DeConti. She doesn't do the show anymore. She's kind of behind the scenes. She's been a big mentor for myself, learning more about the faith, especially about the traditional Latin Mass, and really understanding the faith. I mean, it's just a vast amount, and I thank you, William, for teaching as much as you're doing about the faith. There's so much to learn. But she did a video with the mother of, actually going to be blessed, Carlos Acuñas, his mother, about 4 years ago. Before anything, she actually, like, we're talking about technology, she was in Rome. We were doing it kind of like what we're doing right now. And now the video, you can check it out on our Fiat Ministry YouTube channel. But people are attracted to it because they want to hear what the mother has to say, and share about her son Carlos, just loving the Eucharist. I mean, just like what you were doing. I mean, he was all about the Eucharist and technology. So we really keep that kind of as amazing. But that's kind of the, there's other ones that we've done, and and you come and go with shows, but a big thing is also with Bill Snyder with Patrick Hart Ministry. We simulcast his shows also.
Great. So what's the feedback been from people about what Fiat is doing?
There's a bunch of feedback. I'm blown away by, really this year, everything that has gone on with the coronavirus and not being able to go out. Bill Snyder and I kind of, got really connected because of that, because he couldn't do any speaking engagements and he wanted to do a conference online. And I think a lot of times, you're seeing such a vast amount of, we need to use, I've always said, on my shows, Jesus would be using the technology to evangelize. What we have, he would be using, because he would want to get out as many, and so I think it's not going anywhere, and you're in a great position to, do as much teaching and, these great podcasts that you're doing, William. But I think it's just amazing how this year kind of has really shown what this kind of evangelization can really offer. I mean, I understand prior to that people were doing it, but now you're kind of stuck in some senses doing as much as you can. But I love it. I really love it. And to meet people like you and just all that is great.
Right. Evangelism will still go on. The faith will still go on. We just have to find ways to get around everything.
Mhm.
So what do you see the future of Fiat being?
I see it more now that we're doing more conferences online and production. I'm kind of adventuring off into doing more production of of anybody that wants help understanding how to do this, and being part of that catalyst to share how to do it professional. And I'm looking at that, but continuing to do all these shows and always making it a welcoming platform for anyone to evangelize on, to we say it, to encourage all to say yes to Jesus Christ. And that's kind of our motto at Fiat, is to encourage all to say. And we always work on, back in the day, you get caught up, and you kind of always have to get, figure out your analytics and stats and all that, but don't get caught up in that, because it's one soul at a time. That's one thing that Fiat, we want to keep, keep producing and making the content, sharing the faith correctly, one soul at a time.
Great. So any words of wisdom for someone out there who may be struggling with evangelizing?
I think one thing that you can do is, if you're struggling on that, always take it to prayer. Desire of what you're good at, and the way of presenting or doing the evangelization your way, but to tell the truth and give the truth of the faith, but in your own way of presenting it. If it's not this way, if it's just audio, or in some kind of blog, or just take your gifts and make them part of the way you evangelize, and that might help you kind of grow in your evangelization, of just knowing that, boy, I wanted to do it, but I was struggling on how to. I just need to use my gifts.
Yeah, we all have a gift that we can use for the kingdom. So Ken, where can the listeners learn more about Fiat? Where can they find your stuff?
Well, number one, our website, Fiat Ministry Network.tv. I'm redoing. That's another thing is, I do web design and all. So I'm doing the actual designing of the site, but where you can find all the content is also on our Facebook page as Fiat Ministry Network, just like the car Fiat, Fiat Ministry Network. and also our YouTube channel, same way. Those are probably the best ways to find me. And then my email is kent@fiatministrynetwork.tv if anyone wants to contact me.
Right, and everyone just check out the channel on YouTube. There's new stuff being added pretty much every day. I mean, there's great stuff out there.
Thank you.
Kent, thank you for taking some time just to talk about your story and about your ministry. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, William. I appreciate it.
Thank you.